What's going on, Godzirra Nation? This is Arghgodzirra. We are back with round 4 of the AFL 2020 season. About to lock our tips in for the week. However, before we do so, let's have a quick look at the week that just went down. I was fortunate enough to tip 5. Don't ask me how I fucking tipped 5, because we were off to a shocking start last week. We tipped Richmond. My boys got belted. We tipped GWS. The Bulldogs bounced back. We tipped the undefeated North Melbourne. They got crushed. But then, that's when things started turning around. We tipped Collingwood, but then Carlton came out and threw us off a little bit. But then, fortunate enough, I went bang, 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 and it looks like they've given us a tick for the Essendon-Melbourne game, regardless of the fact that that hasn't gone down. So, 5 tips, not too bad. Before we move on to this week's tips, let's have a look at who tipped the most this week in the competition. Alex D from Alex's Superstars managed to get 6 correct tips for the week, which takes him to a total of 18 points. And there is now 4 people leading the charge. With Alex, it's easy what it is, or it is what it is. Why'd I say easy? It is what it is. Some Cripple and El Snako, all on top of the ladder with 18 points. Memazar, Taj River Taylor 123, Gannon 233, all on 16. TLB, Oliver Laird, Zeta, Dominic, Marcus, Benjamin, Arghgodzirra, and the Motherfuckers, all on 15. Then we've got Flynn Boyd, Roxburgh, and Madge Tigers on 14. Tigle Cat on 13, V Crimson HD on 12 with Dylan Meadows. We have Corey on 10, and we have Dex Pack down on 9. Mind you, thank you for everybody who jumped on board heading into this round. I think we went from something like 14 or 15 up to 23. The biggest amount of people I've had in the competition to date, so thank you very much for that. And congratulations to Alex for jumping up on the top of the board. Same with Heath as well, because Michael and Damien have been battling it out up the top for the last couple of weeks, but these two guys have popped up out of nowhere. If you want to join this competition, ladies and gentlemen, there is still time to do so. You can follow this link that's on screen right now. Alternatively, there will be a link in the description down below that you can click on. Cut off will be round 5. So this is the second last week you can get on board. So if you haven't already, make sure you do so. And if you want to be eligible for some prizes, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. But we're looking ahead at round 4. Time to dive in and see how this is going to play out. We're going to the SCG Thursday night, Sydney versus Bulldogs. Now, you'd think on the back of what Sydney just did to North Melbourne in Melbourne, Sydney would win. But the Bulldogs bounced back against GWS, but I don't think they were really all too convincing, considering they didn't have the likes of Josh Kelly, Toby Green, and Lockie Whitfield went down with a concussion. So I am going to back Sydney here. I really feel there is room for an upset by the Bulldogs, but I think I'm going to back Sydney, and I'm going to back them by 16 points. Friday night, Giant Stadium, GWS, Collingwood. I'm tipping Collingwood. Collingwood have been, so far this year, I think, the benchmark of the competition. Minus the draw they had with my boys Richmond. They smashed the Bulldogs. They drew against Richmond in a game that they should have never lost. And then they came out last week and smashed St Kilda. So I think they're really, they're on track. Their momentum has gone steady. Whereas you could question someone like Port Adelaide, who has only played arguably 3 teams that would be picked to probably finish in the bottom 5. But for me, I think Collingwood's going to get the win here over GWS. Saturday over at Metricon. West Coast Eagles, Port Adelaide. I'm going to tip Port Adelaide. 2 reasons why. First of all, I've just mentioned, even though they've knocked off teams that you would argue are on the bottom of the ladder, you'd think they'd get up and get the job done. Backs against the wall, the form guide actually has them losing. However, West Coast Eagles play pretty miserable football up in Queensland, and we saw that last week. So I'm going to back Port Adelaide, even though it's on neutral ground for the pair of them. I think Port Adelaide have been the most impressive out of the two teams so far this year, so you've got to back your gut, and I'm going with Port. Marvel Stadium, St Kilda Richmond. I'm backing Richmond. We need to bounce back in this game. If we don't bounce back here, we have big problems. However, all the people that are already writing Richmond off the wall, let's not forget 2017, I think we were sitting about 13th or 14th on the ladder at this point in time. Came back and won the flag. So, and with how even the ladder is currently distributed, let's not mince any words here. Richmond is still in striking range, and I'm going to back them to come back comfortably against St Kilda. Essendon finally come out for a game this week against Carlton. This is interesting, because it's still up in the air about what's going to happen in relation to Essendon's back half, whether all of them have to sit this game out or not. However, I'm going to back Carlton. Probably a bit crazy, but from what they did to Geelong, I think that kind of momentum, that uplifting as a unit, I think they can get the job done. Mark Pitnet in the ruck has been really impressive. Paddy Cripps getting it done. Jack Martin getting it done. Levi Casbolt playing out of his skin last week. Hopefully the Blues can continue that run. Gold Coast Fremantle at Metricon. Now, this is an interesting game because Gold Coast have come out the last 2 weeks firing. Fremantle haven't won a game yet, but have been competitive in their games. Oh, this is a big game. This is a real 50-50 coin flip. I'm going to go... Oh, who do we go? Do Fremantle pick up their first win, or do the Gold Coast manage to keep on track? I'm going to back the Gold Coast. It sounds stupid. It's something I'd never thought I would have done heading into the season, but you've got to be impressed with what they've laid down so far. And I think, given the circumstances, being over there in Metricon, their run that they've had the last couple of weeks, they'll be up and about. They could get the job done. If I've mistipped here, it's okay, but I'm backing the young kids in. Sunday kicks off at the Gabba. Brisbane, Adelaide. Do you really need any second guesses here? Adelaide have been deplorable. I do not know what is going on at that club. Mark Rasciuto needs to be kicked off their board for starters. I think that's half the problem. Brisbane, quite comfortably, not even going to mince any words here. They get the win. Melbourne, Geelong at the MCG. Geelong. I think after losing to Carlton, they are going to bounce back fierce. Melbourne have been pretty lackluster. They didn't play a game last week as well, so maybe there might be a little bit of rust starting to kick in. I don't know. You could argue they might be the fresher side, but I think the Cats bounce back. And then Marvel Stadium, Hawthorn, North Melbourne. After what I saw last week, Hawthorn get the job done here. They were really impressive against Richmond, and I feel that they didn't really get out of second gear after a certain amount of time. They took the foot off the pedal. I think they're going to do some damage against North Melbourne. This is where they can start really building some steam and proving themselves to be a worthy finals contender for 2020. So having a quick overview, we're going with Sydney, Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Richmond, Carlton, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Geelong, and Hawthorn. As we did last week in the comment section, let me know who you think is going to be a certainty to win this week, and who is going to be the upset of the round. Having a look through here, I think the certainty is definitely Brisbane winning against Adelaide. The upset of the round, I feel there's a couple. I feel Fremantle beating the Gold Coast, given where they're both standing and how they've played so far, could be considered an upset. Melbourne beating Geelong would be an upset. I don't think St Kilda beating Richmond would be an upset because St Kilda have been playing good football. Actually, let's go with this one. Melbourne beating Geelong will be upset of the round if that goes down. I feel out of all the games available, some of them are kind of 50-50, whereas here, you'd expect Geelong to blow them out of the water. Yeah, that's my upset for the round. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. As I said, if you do want to get on board this footy tipping competition, you can do so following this link on screen, which will also be linked in the description down below. If you want to follow me on social media, those links are down below as well. As I mentioned, if you want to be eligible for prizes at the end of the year, you got to be subscribed to the channel. So hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time something does go down on the channel. Hit that like button, because it supports myself, and why wouldn't you want to support this face? Why wouldn't you? But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.